The NFL draft is next week, and I could not be more excited. The draft will signify years of players' hard work and dedication to the game they love, and it will change their lives forever. But in today's video, we're going to be discussing a draft guide for the Las Vegas Raiders and address their priorities, who they could and should select, and their plans moving forward. This is an interesting team because they will have to figure out how to defend, or at least figure out how to limit, both Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert for the next decade, if not longer, and the reality is if they want to win a Super Bowl, they're going to have to go through both of these teams with these young stud quarterbacks at one point or another. So we're going to address everything they need to do in next week's first year player draft, but before we get started, please like the video and subscribe to the channel as each only take a second to do and it would be very much appreciated. Now let's begin. And we start today's video with the Las Vegas Raiders by saying this and showing this statistic. They finished 30th in points allowed in the NFL in 2020, and they without a doubt have to address this side of the ball early and often in the 2021 draft. Not only did they give up the third most points in all of 2020, but they created the third least turnovers last year with just 15 for the entire season. Now this isn't me completely slamming the Raiders, as they did have some genuine bright spots like beating the Chiefs in Kansas City for example, but they also had some moments that left you shaking your head about this team, like an inexplicable 43-6 loss to the drafting number 4 overall team in the Atlanta Falcons. This team needs to get a lot better on defense if they want to win a Super Bowl in the Derek Carr era, and it starts with their first round pick. As we've seen over the past few years, and I mentioned this in Saturday's video, with the selection of players like Cleveland Farrell, Josh Jacobs, and Henry Ruggs, they clearly value high character and well-respected guys in the locker room. The Cleveland pick was shocking at number 4 overall, but it was clear he was their guy and they made the pick back in 2019. Josh Jacobs in 2 seasons has 2 1,000-yard years and nearly 20 touchdowns. Now, Henry Ruggs didn't have a great rookie year, but that can change if they simply scheme more plays towards him and force the ball to him more. But with all of those guys being selected by the Raiders, this points to a player in the draft who should, in theory, stand out to them more than a lot of other prospects. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, or commonly referred to as JOK, would be the ultimate Raiders pick based on their new criteria. He's a playmaker at linebacker, went to Notre Dame, and was more than well respected in the Fighting Irish's locker room. Not only is he all of that, but he is 100% filling a need for this team, and he would be the perfect pick at number 17 overall. He is 6'1", 220 pounds, and has played at linebacker, safety, and even at times in the slot during his time at South Bend. He would be a great player to try and stop the Chiefs and the Chargers over the next 10 years, and this is without a doubt my favorite fit in the entire draft. And Raiders fans, I do want to say this: if Micah Parsons is available at 17, which he could be, and that isn't entirely out of the realm of possibilities, I do think GM Mike Mayock and head coach John Gruden would value Owusu-Koramoah over him because of the high character, leadership, and great football ability. There has been character concerns with Micah Parsons, and while he is a great prospect, the Raiders do highly value character, and he may be down on their boards more than we know. JOK is a perfect fit for the Raiders at 17, and would be a great chess piece to try and stop one of the best tight ends in the entire league in the Chiefs' Travis Kelce. Now looking at all of the Raiders draft picks, and you see they have 4 top 100 picks highlighted by back-to-back in the 3rd round and 2 5th round picks on day 3. The extra 3rd is from the Cardinals in a trade where Arizona acquired Rodney Hudson, and the extra 5th is a trade where the Seahawks acquired guard Gabe Jackson. Aside from JOK in the 1st round, it's honestly going to depend a lot on how the board plays out for them, but unless someone crazy that we just don't expect to fall, the pick has to be defense in the 1st round. Other options include someone like Jalen Phillips from Miami, who could 100% fall, and although there is some risk there, as he was forced to retire medically during his time at UCLA, I truly do believe he would 100% be worth the reward of the 17th overall pick. I will dive into the Jalen Phillips medical retirement more at the end, but moving forward and addressing their 2nd and back-to-back 3rd round picks. The Raiders have the extra 3 and extra 5 right now, and that could 100% end up being used as ammo in a trade if they were to get into the back end of the 1st round. Tampa had a phenomenal year last year, and teams are probably viewing that pick as a sitting duck or as a wide open market, as teams do value pick 32 very high because of the 5th-year option 1st round picks get at the end of their rookie contracts. It helps teams out financially in terms of getting a player for a bargain relative to their value. That is more towards quarterbacks than anything on the bargain comment, but picks 30 30 through 32 are valued higher because of the possibility of getting the 5th year. Now, if they are a bust, they obviously would not get the 5th year. So if there is a player that is following the Raiders like in the draft process, they do have extra ammo to move up to get that said player. Now, TCU safety Trayvon Moehrig is the consensus best safety in the draft, and what's going to sound crazy is there's a possibility he slides down the board in the first round because of how many good players there are above him. I'd personally be very surprised if he's taken in the top 20 picks because of how many good players there are, and he could be there near the end of the first round. If the Raiders walked away with Owusu-Koramoah at 17 and then traded up to get Moehrig at 28 or 30 or wherever, Raiders fans would have to be thrilled with this takeaway, as they would be getting 2 key players and 2 beasts for their defense. They would then have playmakers at every level, with newly acquired pass rusher in Yannick Ngakoue and what will be third-year player Max Crosby. Now, 4 players do not make an entire defense, but this would be a great start for the next couple of years, and I absolutely loved the Yannick signing because of what he represents. Max Crosby has 17 sacks in the first 2 years of his career, and Ngakoue is a known strip sack specialist, and having those guys go after Patrick and Justin will be key towards the Raiders' future success. Corner would still be a priority to acquire after the selections of JOK and Moehrig, but they'd be getting 2 good chess pieces, and these would be immense improvements to a Raiders defense that finished in the bottom 5 of a lot of categories in 2020. Now, we have discussed and addressed the defense, but now it is time to address the offensive line. Las Vegas went out and got Kenyon Drake this offseason to add to players like Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, and Henry Ruggs on offense, but what good can Kenyon or anyone else do if there is no one to block for them? They lost 60% of their offensive line from 2020, or 3 out of 5 starters between last year and this year, including Gabe Jackson and Rodney Hudson in trades that we previously discussed. Tackle Trent Brown went to the Patriots in a trade, and needless to say, the Raiders have some holes to fill there. So if they do go defense in the first pick or even first few picks, they are going to have to address the O-line at some point in the draft, and what benefits them is this is a deep tackle class. Truth be told, if they took Elijah Vera Tucker at 17, the offensive lineman from USC, I wouldn't love it as much as I love JOK to them at 17, but it would be one of my favorite picks they could potentially make. Now, no disrespect to them, but I did not like the Damon Arnette pick last year in the first round at all in 2020, and I hope they don't do something absurd like that this year. Arnette was never the number 1 corner at Ohio State and had a pass rush with players like Chase Young and Nick Bosa, as he was a multiple-year starter, and I thought they reached big time. He didn't have a good rookie year, and if they go corner again in the first round, if Caleb Farley falls here due to his back, for example, I would like the selection. I just don't want the Raiders to reach big time the way they did in 2020 with Arnette, and Raider fans, I have praised multiple things you guys have done, like the Yannick signing for example, but at the end of this video, please go look at 2020 mock drafts or 2020 draft rankings and try and find Damon Arnette anywhere near the top 50 players. They selected him in 19 overall, and there were plenty of great players still available. I would strongly recommend the Raiders not to draft a player like this, but their priorities have to be defense and offensive line. I wouldn't mind them taking a receiver at some point either, like as in the 5th or the 6th round, as the current receivers on their roster are Henry Ruggs, John Brown, Hunter Renfrow, Willie Snead, Brian Edwards, and Zay Jones. Now, these guys aren't bad by any means, but they aren't a team or a group of receivers that scares teams away and keeps opposing corners late up on Saturday night. Addressing this position at least once in the draft would be a nice touch. Derek Carr threw 27 touchdowns last year, which was his most since 2016, and if he wants to do that again, the receivers on the Raiders, rookies and veterans included, are going to have to step up, and I would love for them to target a receiver late in the draft. But to wrap today's video up, I do love any road the Raiders go at 17, unless, like we said, it is a huge reach. There are several players I would love for them to take, and any of the following would be a great start to the draft: JOK, Elijah Vera Tucker, Jalen Phillips, Caleb Farley, and tackle Tevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State. We haven't formally discussed Tevin on the channel, but he is a mean, nasty tackle, and this would be a perfect player for the Raiders' run game with the 2 backs they'll have in Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake. If they leave with any of these 5 players in the first round and then address the defense, or if they go defense then address the offensive line over the next 2 days, Raiders fans would have to leave the 2021 draft extremely happy with their results. The top 2 priorities for them are the back 7 on defense and the O-line. Now, I did mention adding a receiver late, as that is something I would like all teams to do generally, as the chance you hit on a late round receiver is much higher than finding the next, Tom Brady. And they have to address the offensive line multiple times throughout the draft as well. Depending on how the board plays out for them, trading up or trading back, with those extra 3rd and 5th round picks could be the best thing to happen for them. Like if someone late in the 3rd round wants to move up the draft whoever, the Raiders could then snag an extra 5 and and 6 or something along these lines, giving them significantly more ammo on day 3. I have said this before and I will say it again, I am a huge advocate for drafting offensive linemen late, as worst comes to worst, they don't work out, and well, most late round picks don't anyway. But anyways, that wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribed to the channel, as it would mean the world, and I will see you guys next time. Have a great day. Until next time, love you guys, deuces, peace.